Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. I'm so glad you could join us. I'm your host, Michael Vega, and here joined on the dais by my main man, Al Prizzuti. So much to discuss with the Patriots, Al, winning again, 6 in a row? Unbelievable. Or 5 in a row, it seems like. I'm losing track. It's happening so often. A great win for the Patriots at home against the Cleveland Browns. And, of course, the Milton Wildcats returned to the gridiron at Brooks Field on Friday night, Halloween, against Natick. The Redhawks are coming in ranked in the top 10 in the Globe top 20 poll. The Wildcats, number 18 and holding steady. They improved their record, 6-1 with a big win at Walpole previous 2 weeks ago, actually. And so now the Wildcats host Natick in a big game against a Division I opponent. That'll have some ramifications on Milton seeding in the all-important power rankings. Right now, Milton, I think, is 4th in the Division III power rankings. And if Milton can get a home field advantage, that's going to be huge in the playoffs once they set that. But Milton looking very good right now. Congratulations, Coach Steve Dembowski and his team. Now they're rolling, and looks like they're getting ready for a big game at Brooks Field. Make sure you get out there at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be an awesome game on Halloween. Halloween's going to be unbelievable, Al. And we've got so much, an exciting World Series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers that went even last night, with the Dodgers winning Game 2 or Game 3, and then, of course, epic Game 3, 18 innings. Which I stayed up for the entire, you're in for a pound, what's the adage? You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. That was me, At 12 o'clock, I said, well, how can I turn this off, But, and then of course, with the Blue Jays answering Vladdy Guerrero with the big hit. Love that guy, Just like Big Poppy christened him my dog, It's so, a lot to discuss. And then there's this big gambling scandal, Al, with the NBA that kind of broke to the fore a week ago Friday with the arrest of Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, 2 guys who were former Celtics, swept up in...
Three former Celtics got arrested.
Damon Jones, yeah, well, I think he was here for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, he was here, yeah, but I mean, he was here.
But those guys, there you go, Al, you're on camera now.
This thing is all tied up.
Okay, let me help you there. There you go. I got sorted out here. But yeah, let's leap into that if you want, Al. I mean,
I think that all sports they're responsible for what's going on, because it's not just betting on games. It's more betting on activities during the game. I mean, these guys are placing bets on whether a guy's going to throw 2 strikes or 3 strikes in a row. This guy's going to hit in the. I mean, it's crazy.
It's called prop betting in the parlance.
Yeah,
but
and it's not just the NBA. It's the NHL.
It's everything.
Baseball.
Everything.
It's football. So I don't know how you control this, because anytime you get involved in activities that make money like this, then organized crime figures out a way to do it or to get into it, because they'll make more money with it.
Well, in the 2 cases of Terry Rozier and Damon Jones, Rozier was caught and guilty of trying to manipulate the outcome of a game, which is by taking himself out of the game.
He wasn't feeling when he was fine.
And there was an over-under prop bet on the number of minutes he would play.
Yeah.
And I guess it was associated with that, and he knew well enough to try and manipulate that.
The real problem that they're going to face is trust.
Correct.
So it's the same thing with a politician, whether you like what they say or you don't. If you don't trust them, you're not going to vote for them. If you don't trust what's going on, everybody believes that games are fixed when your team loses.
Al, I mean, even more so in the NBA, Al, because they have a history, Al, with their officiating.
Yeah.
They had like some, reputable officials who are on the take.
So,
And you sit there and you wonder, how the hell can that guy call that or not call that?
right.
Someone gets decapitated going to the lane and there's no foul.
So
and then you
really-
see the players getting angry.
So what really happens here is that it loses the credibility of the
yes.
sport.
Right.
Becomes an entertainment. And when it becomes an entertainment, that has all kinds of other things associated with it other than sports. Sports, you win or you lose.
Right.
And how you play the game.
And
Everything else,
and you would expect the officiating to be fair,
Right.
impartial,
Right.
but in some cases it's not, and you wonder.
Yeah,
you have
the
to
next
wonder.
time somebody goes down
Right.
with an illness in a game and can't play and he's a star.
Or he
people-
comes up injured somehow.
Yeah, well,
somewhere.
he says he
Well,
comes
with the
up
exception,
injured.
like Jason Tatum, when he got hurt, he got hurt.
Oh yeah, there's no
You know,
question.
there's no
I mean, if
question.
a doctor, I'm talking about somebody who says, "Look, I'm like Rozier. I'm not playing. I don't feel good."
Right.
He comes out of the game, and then you find out that there's an over and an under. I mean,
And
it's crazy.
and the NBA is leaning into these, betting sites as saying, well, they protected us because they're the ones who alerted us to this irregular betting pattern that was going on with this guy, and so we investigated. And yeah, they did that. But you know what, Al, to your point, you wouldn't have to worry about any of that if you weren't in bed with these guys to begin with. If you weren't in bed with them. And they're saying, well, no, if we weren't, we wouldn't have known. We likely would not have known. But
Anytime, though, in association why the FBI or the CIA or anybody, the FBI probably in this case, gets involved is because when organized crime gets involved, and they mentioned the Genovese, Lucchese families, Gambino families, you know that they're in it for one thing, money.
well, and what was one of the greatest, scams perpetrated in sports was the World Series, the
Black
Sox scandal.
Sure. You get that. And you know what? This is fueling people's belief that these games are fixed and rigged, and that's trust. And it's going to hurt them.
And the problem is that the actions of a few taint everybody, as was the case with the Black Sox. Shoeless Joe Jackson got taken down in that, and he probably had no inkling what was going on.
I probably don't believe that. I think that when people are involved, they know what's going on.
Think
They're
he
quiet about
got
it.
paid
They
off?
don't say nothing. I don't know if he got paid off, but they know what's going on. You know what your team can do, and then all of a sudden, they're not doing it. Then you got to look and say, well, I'm not going to say anything because I don't really know. I don't have tangible evidence that things were done, but
Yeah.
So look at this whole thing with Pete Rose now. How does this affect Pete Rose in terms of eligibility into the Hall of Fame?
I think he's going to be in.
Well, I'm just saying this is even less than what's going on now. So, anyways.
So
I think
it's something that's
sports.
going to be lingering for the NBA, and it's also a cautionary tale for the other professional sports leagues. The NFL, which has had its issues. The NHL, we haven't heard much about it in the NHL for the most part.
Well, I'll differ because they do it on the games now, before the games, and FanDuel, who's going to score tonight?
Right.
This one's they do it in everything. All these betting places now, FanDuel and all that, they're going to be hurting.
Right.
Or at least they could
The
be
prop
hurting.
bets.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I mean, it's foolish money, I think.
People want to bet, and they're going to bet. People wanted to drink prohibition cause I hate to say it, mafia to come in.
Sure.
Because that's what they do.
And they saw an opportunity.
And the same thing with marijuana. Now that it's controlled meaning to a certain point. So then people are saying, oh, now the marijuana is a little stronger.
Right.
So what happens? Organized crime comes in and says, they want it stronger, we'll give it to them stronger. So if you put regulations on the strength, they'll go around it, and people will leave there and go there.
Right.
It is what it is.
Well, to segue to a more, I think, exciting topic here, the Patriots, Al, with a big win against the Cleveland Browns, and I was concerned about the Patriots handling Myles Garrett in that game, but you know what? Who really does handle Myles Garrett? Because that guy is a beast. You know, 5 sacks on Drake May, and
Well, I mean,
you know, not all of them were on one guy.
well, Campbell was probably responsible.
Well, he had
for
3.
most
He
of
gave
it.
up, I think, 3 of them.
He
But
gave up the most.
yeah, but the thing is that he handled him. He had to handle him the most.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And you know, for the most part, I think he did a good job because the fact that you know they were able to throw the ball as well as they did, you know, and they were able to scheme it so that they weren't exposing him to Garrett, you know, constantly in the pass game. So Drake May did a great job, I think, but the guy that I really gave big time credit was Josh McDaniels because of the play calling he did on that third quarter series coming out of the half.
Well,
Brilliant, Al. It was brilliant.
this is what they do. This is what good teams do, though. When they played, it was 9-7. And they go in at halftime, they say, okay, we got to make some adjustments here. And then the better team usually comes out in the second half and executes things that they couldn't do in the first.
And you know what I was happiest of all to see, Al? Was that they started to attack the perimeter with Travion Henderson. They didn't run him in between the tackles. He's a little timid hitting the tackles.
Well, he's not that.
He's quick, but there's got to be a little lane for him to burst through in order to get into the second level. And I kept yelling at the TV. I kept saying, Josh, sweep. Just get them the ball in space. Throw it to him. Do something. Just get him going downhill.
I'll tell you one thing, though.
They did.
Drake May is a better long passer than Tom Brady ever was.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, this kid can.
The numbers bear it out right now.
But I mean, I'm talking about over a lifetime.
You're looking just the eyeball test.
Compare because Brady was there for all those years. What I'm saying, though, is all those years that Brady was there, other than Randy Moss, he never went long. He didn't go long. He had the tight ends. He had Edelman. He had Amendola, Gronkowski, all cutting through short passes, 10, 15.
Layered.
This guy throws 40, 50, 60, 70-yard passes right on the button.
And an interesting point was made, too, about the group that you probably had the most concern about at the beginning of the season now has become a strength, and that's the wide receivers. Mm-hmm. You know, Stephon Diggs coming in off an ACL injury. We didn't know what kind of player we were going to get. Kayshon Boutte still hadn't produced much. You know, you have Kyle Williams, a rookie. You had Douglas. Douglas was still vying with Javon Baker and Polk for a spot, and they were all jogging. And then you had the tight ends, and now all of them, Al, they all got a touch. Yeah. They all have scored touchdowns.
Well, if you look at even, I mean, it's such a tight, close line between great and good. Boutte made the catch a couple of weeks ago.
Against the Saints, he made a great catch.
Right, yeah, a couple of weeks ago, where the pass was there, but he had a stretch to get it.
Yes.
1 inch. It goes beyond, and it's an incompletion. So
but he
made a great catch.
He catches it in the end zone, yeah.
And then you look at it and say, May made a great throw.
Did.
Same thing with the kid in the end zone, not Hooper. You're going over the guy's head to catch that.
Yes.
In the corner.
Yes.
So they're doing the right things. They're doing things they haven't done for years.
But on that specific drive that I brought up, they did a toss sweep to Henderson to the right. They ran a jet sweep to the left. They threw across the formation. Then he comes back and hits the corner route. So they were like scheming him up.
Well, he went to
and they were going side to side.
When Ramondre went back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Josh. This is what Josh McDaniels is. He's an offensive coordinator. He wasn't a head coach.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Well, here's the other thing too, Al. I mean, how long will he be here for? Because over the weekend in college football, a lot of jobs opened up, including LSU, where Brian Kelly, former Notre Dame coach.
He's not going to go anywhere. I think he realizes.
Well, you've got Penn State, and then Florida fired their guy. So you have 3 major programs right now that are open. And you know what? A guy like Josh McDaniels is going to be, I think, a hot commodity for some of these programs. They want to bring in a guy who's got a great offensive mind.
Well,
he
maybe
can
at
develop.
a college level,
he has a history of developing quarterbacks.
Yeah, but at a college level, he might do that, but he'll never be a head coach of a professional
No,
football team.
no, I don't know. And that's the thing. It's, you got to wonder, well, does he want to go into the college game now?
Yeah.
Or does he want to go stay
Well, after
in
looking
pros?
at Belichick, I think he probably said no.
There's your cautionary tale,
Right, well,
But it's you can't get a an old dog to learn new tricks. I think, and that's what Belichick's being required
blood out
to
of
do.
a stone.
Hey Al, were you happy that the Bruins finally snapped their 6-game losing streak in that great win against the Avalanche? Or are you more concerned about the way they followed that up with an awful loss?
You know what? I thought the Avalanche, which is was a good team. Let me
Good
put
win.
it that way. That they had to do that at home after losing 4-1 to the Avalanche out in Colorado.
Yeah.
So they had the advantage of being at home, coming out, playing a team that they've now played. So I was happy that they won that game. I was big time disappointed in the Ottawa Senator game, which turned out to be one of the worst games I've seen a Bruins team play in years.
Yeah.
They then followed it up with the first period last night, where they go down 2-0. They were down 1-0 in a minute and 20 seconds.
And then 2-0. Yeah.
In 5 minutes into the game, they're trailing 2-0. So Marco Sturm, I think, said, we got to stay with this. He said they weren't concerned when they went down 2-0. I would have been concerned because I thought they played a horrendous first period. What they did last night, though, was they got back to skating.
Yes, moving their feet.
They were
all
on these
around
guys.
the net.
They were checking, and Korpisalo won the game. You can say what you want.
No doubt.
They did score 5 goals, but Korpisalo was the difference because when they needed him, he was there.
Yeah.
I mean, in the second period, at the end of the second period, he made 6 or 7 saves that could have been goals.
Oh, no doubt. And
So
and there were like odd man rushes that came at him. But it was interesting, Al, that you bring up watching the Senators game. Monday was an extraordinary television watching day. I was going to call you up to see if you were watching the Bruins, the Celtics,
I did.
NFL Monday Night Football, or the World Series. And all of it was going on at once. And here's what I gravitated. I was toggling between the Celtics and the Bruins. And then I'd check in on the World Series and I'd check in on Monday Night Football. And then I was because the Chiefs were playing that night too, So, and so I was first period, I'm okay, I'm done with the Bruins. Then I spent time watching the Celtics. Celtics were 0-3, going for their first win. So they captivated me. Al, I love what I saw in that game against, the home win that they had. And it was a great win for the Celtics. That was down in New Orleans against the Pelicans. Yeah.
See,
down
the
in New Orleans
difference
against
is,
the Pelicans.
just going back to that, watching the 4 games.
Yeah.
The reason that hockey has a different aura about it is you watch the period, nothing, let's say at the end of the first period.
Yeah.
You flip over to the Celtics and it's the first quarter and it's, I'll throw it out, 32-28.
Sure.
All right? Everybody's scoring. It's
Right.
32-28.
Right.
You watch baseball, you could probably fall asleep for an inning and not miss anything.
And in game 3, you did fall asleep
from the 12th to the 15th.
and wake up in the wee hours and it was still going.
But so what I do, my watching habits is I don't want to miss anything. And it happened last night. I stepped out for a short while, come back, and somebody scored a goal, and I was like, oh.
I
So
know.
you're missing that's a key. 1-0, 2-1, 4-3, whatever it is. Close game. You miss a goal. You're missing the action.
I forgot there was an even Bruins game going on last night because I was out last night at a retirement party for 2 Globe colleagues, Jim Hoban and Bob Holer, 2 of the greats of our department. And shout out to both of them right now and to their families. We had a great time over at the Stockyard. It was with Bob Ryan and with Dan Shaughnessy and Kevin DuPont and, all the baseball writers that came out. Tony Maz was there. It was great to see him. you know, a lot of guys that worked. Bill Ballou from Worcester was there. It was great to see him. You know, and all the Tara Sullivan, Chris Gasper, you know, the Celtics beat writers, you know, Adam Himmelsbach and Gary Washington. They all came out to celebrate these two guys, and specifically Champ Jim Hoban, our the guy who's been kind of like the glue guy of our desk, our department, and great friend. So want to give him a shout out too here while we have the chance. But I was doing that last night. Then I came home, Al, and I saw that the Bruins were on, and it said Bruins in 2, and I said, oh my God, they played, and it was 2-0, and I'm like, am I gonna stay up for this? And Al, I did not peek at the score. I did not. I could have peeked at the score, but I didn't. So I stayed up and I watched it. Unbelievable, Al.
Well, you know, it's funny.
And I was so happy that I did.
Well, Pasta, the 2 goals that were kind of predictable. One was Pasta because he had a wide open shot on a great pass, incidentally, from Zaka.
Yeah.
The other one was Geeky.
What a
who
snipe
and rifled that
snipe, Al.
I mean, that was a great shot. I mean,
but then, Al, you brought it up, and I totally agree. They were moving.
Oh yeah,
they were constantly moving.
Yeah, after the first period.
And you know what I noticed too, Al? There was like triangulating the shots. It was always 3 guys working in that little triangle. No, you got the bumper, the guys that are down low and over on the sidewall. They were working the half wall, and they're working it. You know, and
well, their power play looked a little better. Even when they didn't score, they put pressure on.
Yes, Al.
There were a couple of power plays where they were in that zone.
What did Ray Ferrara say about them when they lost at home? When
you can't score,
you can't shoot. Right? Yeah, and they were at least shooting in the power play there. And I said, you know what, that looks better. But then, you know, even when the power play ended, they were still putting the same pressure on the guy.
Well, and then Corpusalo won the game for them. I mean,
doubt.
He was by far
the
best player. But, you know, looking at the Bruins, I'm worried because you take Geeky and Pasta, and their defense has been horrendous. And incidentally, I didn't hear why Lurai didn't play.
I didn't either.
And that was interesting because Marco Sturm was talking about the kid Asperat they brought up from, and he said, boy, he had a great game. He coached this kid when he was in the Kings system.
Okay.
And the kid was an undrafted player.
There you go.
Now, if he's making that kind of statement and Lurai wasn't in the lineup, it's going to be interesting to see Thursday night if Lurai plays against Buffalo. If he doesn't, then he's in the doghouse. And
maybe headed down to Providence?
Well, he could be headed out. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, a trade chip maybe?
So you don't know. I mean, and I don't think Gasparat's the answer, but you know, having Hampus Lindholm, I mean, they're still taking too many penalties.
I thought he was going to be on the IR for an extended period of time, and I was shocked to see him. And that's the other thing that kind of shocked me watching the game last night, that he was on the ice. And I said, what happened? I thought he was on IR.
He hit this kid that was standing, and I have a problem with that. The one he got called for interference, the guy's sitting in the crease. Yeah. And I think he has a right to go in there and knock the guy out of the crease.
Yes, absolutely.
Because he wasn't anywhere near the puck, and he hit him, and he got an interference call, which to me, I think is stretching.
It's a subjective call.
Yeah. Right? So, anyways, and then I switched over, and the Guerrero, and you know, seeing Ohtani pitch, because he's got masterful control. He goes in, he goes out, he's all over the place. He's not a straight down the middle. When he put it down the middle, a little high, Guerrero
jumped all over it.
it.
Does what a good hitter does, you know. And it's tough because like they lost George Springer, you know, and they were needing some pop
what
at the top.
What was the deal with Springer?
He got hit on the knee.
Yeah, I know. He came back the next game, but he didn't play.
Yeah, so that's going to be an issue. But now the series is even.
Yeah,
2-2
with that.
And if they can get it back to Toronto, Al, you know, because now people were thinking that, you know, the Dodgers are going to come back and sweep.
Is it 2-3-2?
2-3-2.
So the next game's in L.A.
L.A. and then the last 2 are going to be
interesting to see Mookie at shortstop.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's an athlete. I mean, he's played second, he's played the outfield, he played shortstop.
And you know,
didn't have a great year,
that
but-
epic 18-inning game brought back memories of the Red Sox 18-inning game and the loss that they took. And I remember distinctly, Al, that loss, I think, served as a springboard for the Red Sox in that series, just as I think it did last night for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, could have.
You know, and they now they're even, and they're thinking, hey, we're in a
Next game's the key, obviously. I mean,
big time.
I mean, if they're
Big
up
time
3-2,
now.
then
They can go home to sweep or to
yeah,
clinch.
Well, I mean, if they go up, I think they'll win it. If they lose this game, they got to win both games in Toronto.
Right.
Which.
And you know what?
can
It's
happen.
not outside the realm of possibility. I mean, Toronto's been a very resilient team
Very.
all year
Very,
long.
yeah.
I like those teams, Al. I like those teams because you know what? No matter, I mean, if they're not getting blown out, they're in it. You know, they're always in it.
Yeah, well, you know, if you look at all these teams that make it to the finals, so to speak, pitching,
Yeah.
you know, defense.
But I'll tell you,
Two things
wow,
the Red
that
Sox
18-inning game. Freddie Freeman comes up 3 different times, right? With bases loaded, a chance to win it, and he makes an out.
Yeah.
Then he comes up, bases are empty, hits out, solo homer, walks it off. You know, unbelievable.
Well, I mean, one last thing before we close here is Duggar.
Yes, we had some
They
change.
let him go, and the other kid there went to San Francisco.
Keon White, the defensive
Keon
end,
White,
that kind of
Now,
seemed to fall
I
out of
listened
favor.
to the news last night, and they think it was the right thing to do. I know the trade deadline's next week.
Yes, yeah.
They still need players, and
They're stockpiling picks.
yeah, I know 6th and 7th picks though, and you know, I know everybody goes, yeah, Brady was this and that, but that's a. I thought it was a.
You're swapping a real player for maybe a potential
to me,
practice
Kyle
squad player.
Duggar for a 6th round pick was a waste.
It totally
But
was.
anyways,
Just
they're
like, I
making
mean,
moves.
I feel the same way about what they did with Jimmy Garoppolo, trading him to San Francisco for a pick and a ham sandwich.
yeah, but
you
it
know,
proved
it's
to
like,
be okay because where's Jimmy Garoppolo?
no, but it's going to be interesting now with the Falcons coming to town and the Patriots, you know, have an opportunity to extend their win streak and to improve their standing in the AFC East. You know, and
Funny how with a team like this that's been so good, and with Drake May and everything, in comes Atlanta. Everybody goes, well, they should win. They don't say they're going to win. They go, they should win.
Big
There's still
difference
some
now.
doubts.
Yeah,
Still
big
some
difference.
doubts.
All righty, well, that's going to do it for us this week. And we thank you for joining us. We invite you to get out to Brooks Field on Halloween for a big game between the Milton Wildcats and the Natick Redhawks. It'll be a big Bay State Conference barn burner. Say that fast 3 times. All right, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time here on Stepping Up to the Plate.